Yes! 454! This turbo loves heat. All right, guys, welcome back. This is episode 2 of our drop-in second-gen turbo testing.
This is on a 400,000 mile 12-valve Cummins original engine.
With our 500 horsepower fuel package installed by the man here, Will Terry. And
Todd did a bunch of the valve springs and stuff too.
But anyway, today we're going to be testing our new Aggressor HX60. That's a bone stock HX35 with an upgraded HE351 60mm compressor wheel.
And let's see how it stacks up on the dyno.
Yes, we want to see. So it's going to be awesome.
All right, a lot of guys, we got a lot of comments on the last YouTube video, and a lot of you guys wanted a lot more data than we gave, and frankly, we just edited way too much out.
Yeah, we intended to give the data, so we're going to do a quick recap on the first video and fill in some of the blanks that we left out on the
So we have the numbers before we test this one, so everybody knows what to expect or not expect as we get on this bigger turbo.
So first thing that was left out in the first video is we cannot, with our new Dyno software, do a hold at 70 miles an hour. I could do that with the old software. The new software, it's hard to do, so I couldn't just do a hold at 70 for EGT testing. So what we ended up doing instead is we're running an RPM sweep from 1500 to 2600 RPM. In that sweep, we're using the AFC Live to limit EGT to 1300 degrees. If it goes over 1300...
And there's a load too, and there's a added 5,000 pound on top of the truck trailer load on there.
So with that, if it goes over 1300, I'm going to decrease fuel. If it goes under 1300, I'm going to increase fuel till by the end of that sweep, it peaks at 1300. That way we can do our best to compare what the stock turbo does versus K27 versus the Aggressor and so on. So that's how we're going to be doing our EGT testing tow simulation best we can do with our current software until we get a new upgrade that hopefully allows us to do that again in the future. And
we want to give you guys the peak numbers. What was the peak boost? What was the peak exhaust temp, EGT at full power run?
Yep.
And what else did we want to tell them? The boost in the towing simulation?
Yes, exactly, all that stuff. So
let's go over to the dyno screen.
Let's go over here, let's pull up the old graphs real quick, and let's go through this, and then we'll get on to testing the new guy.
All right, now I'm recapping the stock HX35. In the towing simulation, it ended up making a peak of 335 horsepower. Now remember, that was loaded from 1500 to 2600 RPM, and it maxed out at 1300 EGT. So that was our baseline, 1300 degrees, 335 horsepower. So now let's see what the K27 did. First, let's go to the peak power on the K27.
Notice there's 800 foot-pounds of torque as well. That's a lot of towing power, really.
Yeah, the peak towing torque was 818 at 1675 RPM. That's good and low. That's awesome.
That's a towing machine right there.
All the grunt. All right, so then the K27, the first run, the peak number on the K27 was 449 horsepower, and it did that at 2228 RPM. Peak torque was 1153. All right, let's see how it did in the towing simulation. Oh, and we need to talk about the boost in the EGT. The K27 peak boost was 40, what do we write down here? 42.5 PSI, where the HX35 only did 39 with the same boost elbow. And then the peak EGT, the HX35 on the max power run did 1700. The K27 hit 1800. So 100 degrees warmer, and we picked up, from 32 to 49 horsepower. So what is that? 27 horsepower?
Mm-hmm.
No, 432. 17 horsepower.
Yeah.
Okay, when the K27 was tuned the same as the HX35, it made 31 pounds of boost, whereas the HX35, we didn't write down, I don't know what the boost was on that, but we do know the max EGT was 1190, and it made 339 horsepower.
So what that means is we did the same exact fuel setting on the K27, and what was the EGT?
1190.
So over 100 degrees
110 degree cooler.
On the same, we picked up 3 horsepower, which is minimal because it's fuel limited. We reduced the AFC Live to limit fueling. So the power number, if there's any gain there, to me is like a different run. You might have had the same thing happen on the HX35 because it's fuel limited. But the 110 degrees, that's legit. So that's a lot. It was moving some more air. So that's probably why you got more power, because it probably is moving a little more air. So anyway.
And the peak torque was right there, the same 815. It was within
Yep.
4 foot-pounds. That's,
RPM,
you know,
1723 peak torque. So again, very
very
peak torque
similar.
RPM. So very, very similar, which you would expect because it's Borg Warner's version of the HX35. We just think it makes a little more power, and obviously now we know runs cooler.
So then on the K27 final run, we turned the AFC Live up to 9 PSI. That got us to 1,300 degrees, 34 pounds of boost, 367 horsepower at 2558 and 915 foot-pounds. So at the same temp, we picked up 100 foot-pounds of torque and
30 horsepower.
And 30 horsepower.
31.
67
335.
versus 35.
So 32 horse and 100 foot-pounds.
With the K27 at the same 1,300 degrees.
Yep.
So that in a towing kit, I mean, what do you think, Todd?
100 foot-pounds is very noticeable. I mean, you think this truck came stock with what? 300. What would this come stock with? A 180 pump? 360?
Torque? 400.
400
so at the engine.
At the engine. So you pick it up 100 foot-pounds at the wheels. That's a huge jump in torque. So
It's like a 25% increase in power.
Yeah.
How they come from the factory.
So anyway, that's very noticeable when you're towing, and we have got a lot of reports that the K27 is a very nice towing turbo, and this kind of leads us to know why. 100 foot-pounds, you will notice the same temperature.
All right, so now we're ready for
the Aggressor HX60.
the Aggressor HX60 is up next.
All right, guys, now we are ready to test the Aggressor HX60. What this is, again, is a stock HX35. The turbine side is stock, turbine housing stock, nothing changed there. But we machined out the compressor cover and put in a modern HE351 wheel. This compressor wheel has made some big power in the past.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen huge power numbers with it. So this is a cast 60 millimeter inlet, where the stock HX35 is 56 millimeter.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's a stock HX35 that's got a 4 millimeter bigger compressor, and the big diameter of the wheel is about 3 millimeters bigger. So it goes to about 86, 85 and a half versus 83. But you know, we're getting, I don't want to bury you guys in numbers, but basically, this is, for years, guys would have these turbos, they call it a Dodgezilla back in the day.
Yeah.
They'd take an HX40 compressor cover and wheel and stuff it on the HX35. It was a really common upgrader. They called it a 3540 hybrid, bunch of different names. But they did it with an HX40, not an HE351, and they changed the cover. We just machined the cover out to fit it.
So it's dropped, and like when you get this, you pull old one out, new one in, no change. I'm curious to see what this turbine wheel will support in this turbine housing. You know, the K27 has a little bit different design in the turbine housing compared to the HX35. Is that better or worse? Is it the wheels? I don't know why the K27 is necessarily better. Maybe the billet compressor wheel flows a little better. So I'm really curious to see what this does. Literally, I haven't run this yet, so I'm really curious.
I mean, we expect it to do better than the stock turbo. Will it beat the K27?
I think it will. So let's do power guesses. So we got 449 on the K27. I'm going 470.
470.
475.
Wow.
That might be pretty aggressive. I don't know if the turbine can handle that power, because the turbine's a big part of the equation too. It's just that little baby turbine.
I'm guessing 465.
465, 475. And you're down 3-0. So on these testings, you got to.
So it's probably gonna hit your thing.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, so we're gonna do a run right now, a peak power run, and see what she does. So here we go. Let's rock and roll.
All right, Todd. Tell us what we're doing.
Okay, so we are going to be doing the first full power run of our turbo. We are still in our towed setting. So I'm gonna hit the full power switch on the AFC Live, put that guy down. Now we're gonna give us everything, all the fueling that we have put in the truck. We have it all now. So after that, we'll go back to our tow setting and see how it does. But first run, max power. I've reset the gauges. We'll get a peak boost and peak EGT. Those have been reset, so we can pull those numbers in once we get it going. And
you can turn the dimmer lights on so we get a little glow on the gauges.
I don't think it'll make a difference in the lighting.
Oh, a little bit. At least the needle's lit up.
Okay. All right. So I think we're ready.
Yeah, we're ready for full power run.
Here we go, man.
Stone cold. That's how you blow head gaskets, right?
Not with those head bolts. Do you have the controller for the dyno?
Yep, I got the mouse right here. Oh, it's even got grease or something on it. Lucky me. got some RTV on it. These guys must be using her after hours. Here's the dyno screen.
Okay, so this run's gonna go to 3,200, right?
Yep, it's going 15 to 3,200. So you got to get her up to 1,500 locked in overdrive. Let off. I'm gonna hit start, and you're gonna smack the throttle around 1,300 like you do. And
Yep.
you know, one thing I found that helps, if you let off a little bit on the 2-3 shift, it doesn't slam so hard. If you time it just right, so it's not decelerating the engine, it's even smoother. You kind of get right in the side. It's kind of like when you're shifting a manual.
I kind of got to learn it here. Okay.
One bumped a little bit. You're all locked up. She's.
Yep. Let me go a little bit higher, then I'm going to drop it. Okay,
oh man, I hope this thing don't blow up. It's hitting it this cold. She is stone cold.
Can you run it for a minute?
Yeah, just send it. We'll see what it does.
You want me to send it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, here we go.
It's ready. Oh my gosh. I'll pull my feet back. Ooh, 42 pounds of boost. Still falling.
Still holding.
I'll tell you when you get there.
Pretty good.
31, 3,200.
She took it 120 miles an hour.
120?
Yeah.
Well, the old guy I bought this from said he put brand new tires on it. Now they're only about 3/4 tread. Now I've lost 25% of the rubber in less than a tank of fuel, but you get that. All right.
Let's see, man. Excited. 442.
442. What? We lost power over the K27.
Well, stone cold.
442 at 22 and 1150.
The 449 was the second run, so we got to do a verify.
Yeah, we got to do a warm run because the stock turbo, it did 426 on the first run and 432 on the second, and the K27 did, I think, 447 on the first run, or 449, or vice versa. But it so we gotta see what we're doing. Let me fill the intercooler, make sure it's not hot. I've got to give best chance. Actually, I'm winning. Actually, I don't want it to make any more power because I'm winning the milkshake.
Yeah, you said 460. I said 475. I got a lot of work. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen on cold engines. The turbine on this guy is out. It's done. That's all she's got. Still, it's nice.
It is more than the stock turbo.
It is.
See if I can get out without breaking the light here. All right, guys, I got to check out the intercooler here. Ooh, pretty hot. This side's probably 80 degrees maybe. This side's probably 150. Little airflow here. All right, I mean, that wasn't a fair test. It was stone cold.
Yeah.
So let's go again. I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
Let me get back here to the dyno screen. Oh, come on. Back. All right, we're ready. Okay. Let her rip, tater chip. I got a big shadow on my face now. That's all right.
That's okay.
At least I can open the door. A little violent there.
Yep.
All right.
Go.
Go for it. So the boost gets a little higher.
42.
The EGT going up. 7, 28, 3. There you go. 32. All right.
$449.
449. It's a dead tie.
It's a dead heat.
This thing likes warm runs apparently. Look at that. 449. 1156 torque. All right, let's see what the peak. Well, let's write down the numbers.
Okay.
So let's get our little fancy graph out here.
All right, so this is.
So this is
Aggressor 60. All right, so peak EGT. Ooh, looks like 18 and 1810, just a touch over 1800 degrees.
At 1810, okay.
Very similar to the K27. Peak power, 449 horsepower.
Okay, 449. Let's see what the peak boost was.
Okay, peak boost. 42.5.
Same boost as the K27. So this is a K27
That's what
copy is what you did here.
That's what I wanted. The problem with the K27, as everybody probably knows, is half the time, 70% of the time, they're out of stock. Like, we cannot keep these stupid things in stock because, well, Borg just doesn't make enough. They're made in Brazil. Whatever reason, we can't keep them in stock. So we've been trying to figure out a way to make a K27 replacement that we can keep in stock. And so far, this is like dead even. I'm excited to see how it tows because I do want to see if that turbine housing design on the K27 is better, worse, or the same. Maybe there's no difference there, it's just a different look. All right, so Will's gonna go out there and set up the dyno. What he's doing is he's gonna add 5,000 pound trailer weight to the dyno. I'm gonna put this thing in the tuned mode, which is the exact same power. So, hey, welcome back. So, this is gonna be the exact same power setting. It's full power, now we're in the tuned mode. So now we have the same fuel settings that hit 1300 degrees on the K27. So this got us to 367 horsepower on the K27 and a peak of 1300 degrees at the end of the run. So it's going to be a 1500 to 2600 RPM sweep. And
with 5,000 pound trailer load?
Yep.
And did you reset your peak recalls?
No, let me reset these guys.
Reset.
So
So to do it, you hold it till flashes, then what do you do, Todd?
And let it go up and push it one more time. Now it's back to 0, so hold this. Flashes when it goes up, reset. Okay, so now we're going to see how this turbo does with the same fueling as the K27. So far, it's been exactly the same.
It's been basically a K27.
Yes. So here we go.
Here, compressor wheel. All right. So maybe those old school Dodge Yellows weren't all they're cracked up to be. They're a slave of the turbine,
Yeah.
not the compressor.
Yeah.
Okay. That's violent.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, I'm going to tell you right when you get there so that you don't overshoot and ruin the EGT number. 2,000, 2,100, 2,200, 2,300, 2,400, 2,500. Stop.
It's like 1280.
It's like basically the same, huh?
We have like created a carbon copy. I mean, it's like 1280.
We created a Borg K27 with a whole set.
I mean, it was right now. Okay.
364.
Oh my gosh, it is exactly the same. But we have a little bit more fuel we can add.
890 torque, so it's down a little bit on torque because the other one did 912 or 915 or something.
So right there. Oh, so this is 1300 now. We've actually got 12. We got to go higher because that. Let's check. Let's check real quick.
Let's check the max there.
Because I mean, we are barely shy. That is like, that is just. I mean, it is a tiny bit more fuel. I mean, let's go like just a smidge here. I'm gonna go like.
Just sprinkle a little timing in there. Oh wait, that's not timing. That's fuel.
That's fuel.
Just bring a little fuel in there.
Tiny
Okay, let's see what the boost was.
So peak boost was 36.
No, that mark is below. That's the first hash. So that'd be like 33.
Oh, 33.
Just over the 32 and a half. Let's write that down then.
Well, technically it's.
So it was 1280 EGT, 1280. It lost a slight bit. It was 364 horsepower, and boost was 43 psi.
30. Oh, this is, yeah, 40.
Oh, not 43. Why did I write 43 now?
It's like
33 psi. All the batteries are dying, folks. We got to nail this stuff quick. See if Todd can do it. He's manually shifting it there, that full manual valve body on the column. Violent.
Beautiful.
It almost knocked the wind out of me.
Okay, you ready?
Okay, go ahead. Okay, watch the boost. See if we make any more boost. 2200, 23, 24, 25. Stop.
We went a touch over 1300. So that's going to be a...
Let's see if we picked up any power.
371.
371.
371, but it was a touch warmer. It was. We got we got like 1310.
So it's slightly better than a K27 for all intents and purposes. Slightly.
Slightly being the
could be
sliver.
The difference between a 60-degree day and 75-degree day towing.
Yeah, we're dynoing those on different days. So to me, I'm not going to say one's better, one's worse. I think we have created an absolute replacement for the K27. So hopefully we can keep these in stock. And so anyway, this is like your stock replacement turbos.
Wait, weren't we going to do one more max power run? Now that's just stupid heat soak to see.
Also, we got to do the silencer ring.
Oh,
bonus!
Shoot. Should we do a heat soaked run right now, or should we pull the silencer ring off?
Let's do a heat soaked run right now, just so we can bear it one more time, just for fun.
Wait, I got to change the dyno calibration real quick. You talk about how great this turbo is.
All right.
Okay, so we're gonna do one more quick run.
Bonus category now.
We go back.
Another full power run.
Test setup.
Good and warm and hot.
Take this trailer weight off.
Oil's good and thin. So we see if we
take this to 3200.
And then we're gonna put the silencer ring out.
Submit.
It's a big debate. Does removing the silencer ring actually add power? No idea. Let's find out. All right, here we go. Full power run. Flip the IFC live down. And okay, we're in full power. Here we go. This is gonna be. Oh, lock. Oh, lock. It's like third. We're like already in third lock.
Third lock. There you go.
Maybe it's just like, I don't know.
We're only at 27 miles per hour. 27 miles per hour. Let's just say Todd's not the smoothest at driving old crappy trucks with locked shifts. Needs a little more practice.
Yes. Okay. We'll get up here and we'll do it.
Okay, this one's for all the bacon. Pulling my feet back in case the turbo or drive shaft comes through the floor because I'm scared.
We're going to
27,
again?
28, we're going to 32. 31. Stop!
She's taking it, dude. This 400,000 miles is just taking like a champ.
This thing is a brute.
Did we beat the K27? Yes!
454! This turbo loves heat.
That's right.
It's a heat soak monster.
454. It's like your old, big block Chevy. Here you go, man. This is 454 horsepower. 1,141 foot-pounds of torque.
So the Hemi guys would cheat and take oil out of the crankcase to get a little more power.
Oh, the
we cheat by just heat soaking the crap out of it.
Just get it hot so the oil's thin. So anyway, 454. Now, let's take out the silencer ring because I want to see.
Yes, silencer ring next. All right. Cut. All right, hot swap wheel here. Okay, I can hear the turbo. It is a little noisier.
No question you can hear it. Oh, she sounds good. Oh, boy, that takes a long time. Come on.
Stop.
454 449.
We lost power. What the crit? What the crit? Crit. Crit. That thing was heat soaked, guys. I mean, there's no excuse.
Yeah. Like
Shit, let's pull the air box off. One more back to back one's really hard.
Hurry up, hurry up.
Just, we got to do it for Gale, okay?
Do it for Gale. Or Gale, that's right.
Wait a minute, this guy put his air filter under the hood. What is he thinking? You read the magazines all the time and you see pictures like this. Ah, he's got the filter under the hood. Must be low restriction, huh? That filter on a stick has a MAP loss of about 0.7 of a pound. That's filter drop. But the air going into it is 135 degrees instead of 60. So instead of 661 horsepower, we're now making 550. Pure jackassery. It's not about the pressure, it's about the temperature, and more importantly, it dropped the density.
Oh, listen to her sing. Loud.
Stop. It looks like we picked up a horsepower with the air box off of just
Really?
my quick look here.
450.
450. We gained 2 horsepower sucking warm air from under the hood.
I don't know how that happens.
All right, so really quickly, we got done with the dyno. We want to overlay the K27 peak power run with the Aggressor HX60 power run. Todd, you come look at this too here. So, looking at the graphs, this graph here, it looks like we started
Pretty close.
pretty close. If anything, we gave a slight advantage to the Aggressor,
Because it's a touch higher.
and because it started a little higher power, but it peaked a little bit later RPM wise, and it's more power, made a little bit more power.
Yeah, you can see the angle, like the K27 again, is a little bit quicker spool up, you know, than the Aggressor, which makes sense because we have that bigger compressor wheel and the same size turbine. Our compressor wheel is a little heavier. It's not billet, it's cast, and it's a little bit bigger, so it just takes a little bit more energy to get it going. So even though it flowed more and made more power, it's a touch slower. This I don't think you'd notice any of these. Like if you put this versus K27 versus HX35 in your truck, I don't think seat of the pants you're going to notice much. We can show it on a graph, but these are all spool up so fast. I mean, you're not going to really see a difference in feel.
At the end of the window at 3,200 RPM, it looks like we have 401 versus 392, so you're down
Almost 10.
You know, close to 10 horsepower, actually 9 horsepower, and then you're down 15 foot-pounds of torque, almost 14 foot-pounds.
Yes,
so the Aggressor does carry the power better.
Mm-hmm.
They overlay really close from about 1,900 RPM, maybe a little bit higher. Where'd you say around 2,000 RPM? They cross over. They're nearly identical. And by 2,100, the Aggressor starts pulling away.
Yeah, just
slowly.
carries it better.
But
again, for all intents and purposes, a different day, different dynograph. This could be switched around. They're so close. I do think the 35 is the quickest spooling of all three from the graphs I'm looking at. But these two are really, really similar to me, which again is kind of was the goal in building this. I'm actually surprised it's as close as it was. I kind of thought maybe the Aggressor would make a little more power with that modern wheel, but like I say, I think it just maybe had a turbine flow, and this is kind of limiting you.
let's compare the cold run of the Aggressor 6060 with...
So this is Aggressor versus Aggressor.
This is Aggressor versus K27, but this is the lower powered Aggressor run when the engine was stone cold. Intercooler was cold. When everything was cold, the Aggressor beat the K27 in spool up.
And that's a really quick. I mean, that was a
because
dead
they started
start.
really close, but there's a slight advantage to the K27 on this one, and the Aggressor peaked earlier, and the horsepower curve, they're a little bit steeper, they pull away, but on this one, because it was cold, it actually made slightly less power, remember? And then look, they diverge, and then you get out there right at the end of the run, and they were almost exactly
Caught up to each other. That's like
they touch in places. So it
Yeah.
seems like the heat soak, although it makes a better peak number, is affecting the spool up. When it's hot, it spools slower.
what's your intercooler being hot, everything being hot would be less air mass to get it started.
And that's what's going on, yeah. So it's all about the intercooler
'Cause we
being
don't
heat
have
soaked.
highway air here. We're in our shop with a little dinky fan, so
So I'm guessing the heat soak must be thinning the oil tranny fluid. That must be where the gain's coming.
resistance.
Resistance. It's not helping the spool up, so it's not like it's getting more turbo energy from the
Yeah.
heat soak. It's got to be the friction is going down with the heat,
Yeah.
which you'd think,
So
interesting.
yeah. So when we look at these dyno graphs, if I have something that makes 5 more horsepower, like our 449 K27 versus our 454 Aggressor, to me the next run could be 5 horsepower different as well. So if I don't see big changes, to me these turbos are so. I mean, when I'm looking at this graph, this is the same turbo. I would have guessed that this is the same exact turbo, just 2 different
You
runs.
thought it was when I pulled it
Yeah,
up,
I
but
thought
yeah,
it was-
these were filmed
3 days apart.
the 18th and the 11th, so 7 days apart, a week apart.
I would have thought that's the same turbo, just 2 different runs. So, I mean, these turbos, like I say, I think these are interchangeable equals. I'm not going to say one's better than the other, but they're definitely the same good as anything I can see. They're identical, but
So
they
we
look
could-
a lot different.
So we could do the second run where, yeah, it overlays again. So on the second run, when it was mildly heat soaked still, so it wasn't until we got it really hot and made that big power number that it killed the spool up. Very
So
interesting.
is this both aggressors?
This is Aggressor is the darker lines. The
Okay.
lighter, fainter ones is K27.
Again, I would have thought this is the exact same turbo.
But this is run 2 of the
They're
Aggressor
both heat soaked.
and run 2 of the K27.
So they're both heat soaked.
Slightly heat soaked.
This
yeah.
is like they're identical. They're identical. That was crazy.
So it just depends on which run you compare, really,
Yeah.
when you're comparing them there. So trending wise, you're right. They're
So anyway, I think we've accomplished our goal with this little turbo, and that we have a replacement for the K27. So hopefully we'll never be out of stock again of a K27 or these. But now we're going to have some fun because I think there's more potential in that 60mm compressor wheel.
with a bigger turbine.
So we've got 2 different turbines we're going to test out next. It's going to be what's the first turbine?
A 64mm turbine. It's a 10 blade, really high flow.
You've used this in the junker.
I've used this in the
with the
junker.
same compressor wheel.
Same compressor
We
wheel.
made it up to 900 horsepower in a compound setup.
It picked up over 100 horse in my truck just changing the turbine wheel. So I'm expecting, now this isn't nearly as powerful a setup, but I'm expecting gains. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited for the next test.
So guys, next test, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, the bell. I always see you're supposed to hit a bell or something.
I
like
think
for
it
notification.
notifies you if you're subscribed when there's a new upload is what
Hit the
bell
bell.
does.
We're trying to do some real fun content, make it worth your guys' while to watch, and hopefully we get enough subscribers that makes it worth our while to keep doing these kind of videos. So please subscribe, and yeah, wait, that next video is gonna be fun. We should be picking up power next video. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.